Look, I don't care if things are 3 years old. I don't want to forget. And I think Americans have a very short attention span, and we have a very short memory. And I think...
Anna, I actually agree with you on the decreasing attention span. But it's sure interesting that you have all these selective memory options where you choose not to forget about the January 6th while you have forgotten all about the BLM riots. We don't need to remember that, right? I mean, down the memory hole, when the rioters literally tried to take over the White House to the point that the Secret Service had to move Trump to the White House bunker. Do we care about that? Do we need to remember that? How about when the Roe v. Wade protesters took over the Wisconsin Capitol? That was as recent as 2023. And you're not Joe Biden, and you can't blame your dementia for forgetting about that.
There's a lot of things I think are very legitimate criticisms of Elon Musk. Platforming neo-Nazis, stoking anti-Semitism, stoking conspiracy theories.
Okay, name one. Name one. You just said all those things. Name one example. You can't name one?
Hey, Isaiah. Hey, Isaiah.
Okay, let's do this.
What exactly are white people superior at?
They're real good at violence.
Data shows the opposite. You're projecting.
Playing the victim.
You are playing the victim right now. Self-awareness, man.
Genocide.
All countries did that at some point in history. You are only pointing out the white people. You are the racist.
Colonizing. Colonialism.
Colonization.
Colonization.
You can do that too. Stop aborting your babies.
They're just creatively thinking of new ways of like always staying one step ahead of other people.
That's called hard work.
They are very good at destruction of land, destruction of people, destruction of humanness.
The best countries on the planet are white countries.
Oh, well, according to television, everything.
According to the television, I rest my case.
The twice impeached former president is facing criminal charges.
It's a celebration of the law and how it applies to all of us.
Well, I don't know about that. Bill Clinton is a rapist and he's walking free. It is what it is.
I want to be a mom one day. That's going to be a passion for me. I think seeing a trans woman as a mom is going to be very important.
That's just absurd. You are a biological male. You can't get pregnant.
What are your thoughts? I mean, you know, and I've said this before, and I'm going to get in trouble. I don't know what the difference between our Christian right and the Taliban is. I have no idea what the difference is.
Well, I'm pretty sure if you travel to Afghanistan, you will quickly find out what the difference is.
No, it's important.
You're telling me that as a parent, I'm not smart enough to decide if my child need to have gender affirming?
Well, yes, that's what I'm telling you.
SpaceX CEO Elon Musk has recently confirmed a report that last year Musk blocked access to his Starlink satellite network in Crimea. Should there be repercussions for that?
Not at all, Jake. Elon Musk saved the world from a bigger war by refusing to accept Zelensky's demands.
Really? None of this concerns you?
Not at all, and I think you should be happy about it too, but you're not because you work for CNN, and CNN is a warmonger who profits more as the war escalates.
Something really bad is going to happen, okay? Shit's about to hit the fan in this country. Everyone is on, I don't even know the word. Everyone is, I don't even know if we call it a spine anymore. And I didn't do anything because I didn't think anyone would listen to me. Trump tweeted something mean about me someday. Because you did something. I tried to do something. Here's what I want to ask you. When something happens, you good with nothing?
Nicole, you said a lot of words, but you didn't make any sense. The f is wrong with you?
Well, first of all, we want to thank you for everything you did to protect our country.
I'm sorry, what exactly did he protect the country from? Of course, there were some bad apples, yet the security footage shows that they literally opened the door and let everyone in. No one had any weapons, and it looked like a guided tour. And let's not forget, that the only person who died that day was Ashley Babbitt, who was shot and killed by the Capitol Police. So please help me understand, what exactly did he save the country from?
I wrote a book. We have to go to break.
Okay, let's do another one.
What exactly are white people superior at?
Not getting arrested.
Stop resisting then.
At having fun. That's a function of white supremacy.
Having fun is not white supremacy. If that's your mindset, you are living a very sad life.
Feeling superior.
Thinking they're superior.
Thinking that they're superior.
Thinking that they are superior.
That was a whole lot of thinkings and mind readings.
Being fearful of nothing.
That's a good thing.
Claiming that, they are actually a whole separate race, when actually white DNA comes from the black female.
And the black female DNA comes from monkeys if you're into evolution. Therefore, we are all a bunch of monkeys, and so race and racism doesn't exist. Problem solved.
Walk into everybody's house and says, oh, this is nice, I'm gonna take your shit.
What a stupid statement.
White people are not superior with anything.
I respect your honesty.
Hezbollah is very smart. They're all very smart.
Hezbollah is very smart. That's the Republican candidate's position.
Lawrence, calling a person or a group of people very smart doesn't mean you're embracing them. For example, Iran made Joe Biden send them billions of dollars. Iran is smart. Joe Biden is dumb. Let me give you another one. MSNBC, your outlet, made half of the country believe in the Russia hoax. MSNBC is smart, but at the same time, you are still a fake news piece of shit outlet.
No nominee, Democratic nominee, can win without the black vote. That's a stat, and that's been for decades. I mean, you have the alternative. They're called black countries. They called black people all sorts of things. And so,
Sonny, whether you like the tone of it or not, shithole countries exist. That's the reality. And there is a reason why people are migrating from those shithole countries to the West and not vice versa. You are the one making it about their skin color, so you are the one being racist. Now, you just said he called black people all sorts of things, and I'm sure you would have loved to mention what he said if he actually had said it. But you didn't, which shows that, as always, you're just full of shit.
It's not a reach. It's exactly the thing that Adolf Hitler said. He used the term vermin. So that's a statement of fact. And it's just playbook 101, right? For a dictator and authoritarian to dehumanize your opponents so that you can do things to them that then seem, at least to your supporters, fair and just in some way because they're not human.
William, the entire fake stream media, such as yourself, compared Trump to Hitler from the day he took office, and still do. Yet he didn't suppress his enemies while in office, and he conceded to the election. So if he's a dictator, he really sucks at being one. Now, I wonder why you weren't outraged when the current president, Joe Biden, said that MAGA is an extremist movement that does not share the basic beliefs in our democracy. That's half of the people of the country, and he still uses that label to this day. And again, no outrage when Biden's Department of Justice labeled dozens of parents protesting pornographic books and the transgender agenda forced to their kids as a terrorist threat. Trump himself, his allies, and his supporters are being hunted by Biden's FBI and DOJ one by one right now. So my question is, what the fuck are you smoking?
Hoo-wee! Nobody who is more important in Congress to Trump's effort to overthrow the lawfully elected government of the United States than Jim Jordan.
Again. Rachel, Trump called for a recount of the votes. That's not overthrowing the government, and you know that. But you and the entire left-wing media keep saying that because Project Mockingbird still goes on, and whether you like it or not, all of you motherfuckers are part of it.
I'm Ariel Sky Williams. I'm unarmed and I have nothing that will hurt you.
It's just kind of a thing we practice at our house.
Brainwashing your kid to believe that a white police officer has something against them because of their skin color makes your kid grow up to become a racist. Teach your kid to act right instead.
For some reason,
People of color have always been a target by the police.
There are always bad apples. Can't argue with that. But what is that some reason? Is it the fact that despite making up only 14% of the population, black people commit over 60% of violence crime in America? I don't know.
Why would a police officer assume that you did something bad? Maybe because of my skin color.
Why would you assume that a police officer assumes that you did something bad? That's a whole lot of assumption, mind reading, and hallucination.
You got a little bit lighter than the rest of them, so it's a possibility you won't get stopped.
That's right. All police officers carry this chart.
I see it weighing on you, and I don't want it to weigh on you.
I'm just worried about Donovan. I'm worried about him now.
I am worried about him now. Congratulations on traumatizing your kid.
I wish the social media companies would come together and eliminate anonymous users for the very fact that misinformation is spreading at a ridiculous level. When we were talking
Sarah, in the past 7 years alone, it's undeniably evident that the misinformation with tangible societal impact originates solely from mainstream media, including people like you. So before advocating for social media to take away free speech and whistleblower protection, try to look inwards. You may just be stupid or deliberately dishonest.
We've just looked at what's happened, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's expansion of NATO, what's happening in the Middle East. But also, Mika brings up a great point. Joe Biden has visited 2 war zones now. Hot, active war zones. The first president to visit any war zone since Abraham Lincoln. That's exactly what Joe Biden's done twice, a hot, active war zone.
Joe, is what you said supposed to be a good thing? Because the expansion of NATO under Joe Biden caused chaos. Russia-Ukraine war started under Joe Biden. Hamas-Israel war started under Joe Biden. Hundreds of thousands of people have died in these wars. But hey, Joe Biden visited the war zones. I'm not sure what the fuck you're bragging about.
Why is he continuously allowed to do that when none of us would be able to do it?
Not just the threats. He also says that Millie should be shot.
Yes.
That it was okay with Mike Pence getting shot.
Why?
Joy, show me a quote or a clip from Trump saying what you just said. No one? Nothing?
Let me just underscore for the audience. He's 52 years old. This is a 52-year-old man who feels the need to say dirty words to make people shocked. It's bizarre. And
Cara, what's bizarre is that the same big brands that stop advertising on X don't seem to have a problem advertising on TikTok and Instagram, both of which have algorithms that promote pedophile networks. I'm sitting here listening to you, and you don't seem to have a problem with that neither. So if you have a problem with Elon Musk being frustrated over advertisers trying to blackmail him into censoring free speech, frankly, you should go ahead and fuck yourself.
When the president got into the White House, we all know that the economy was at a tailspin, and the president came in and had to fix that because obviously the last administration did not have a comprehensive plan, and so we had to come in and do that. So what the president has done to make sure that the economy gets back on its feet,
down also,
and gas by $1.77 since its peak. Remember, Putin's war caused gas prices to go up.
Katrine, and you said a lot of nonsense accompanied with persuasive hand gestures to appear credible. So let's go through this one by one. 90% of the jobs that Biden created were jobs recovered from the pandemic. The economy is not even close to where it was under Trump. Gas prices rose before the Ukraine war, thanks to Biden restricting domestic energy production. Then y'all went on a Putin price hike to mislead the people. So Biden didn't fix anything, and I'm glad this is not a White House press conference, and you can't just get away with the bullshit you just spewed.
Does Elon Musk know what the word blackmail means? He's now saying he's not going to be blackmailed by these advertisers, okay? He's also been boosting the old Pizzagate conspiracy theory lately. At some point, our governments, our other businesses, our counterparts starting to look at Elon Musk and saying, this person shouldn't have. I mean, think about all the government contracts he has, right? If any other Fortune 500 CEO did a fraction of what he does, they'd be out on their ear.
Stephanie, you just started by implying that he doesn't know what blackmailing is. Then you implied that because he interacted with content like Pizzagate, it's the right thing for the government and businesses to cut ties with him. So basically you proved his point that he is in fact being blackmailed. Because at a deeper level, something like Pizzagate merely scratches the surface of the reality of powerful people engaging in child trafficking. So it's very interesting that mainstream media and people like you have a problem with people talking about it. Why is that? Why is it that your network never talked about Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton's connection?
They're not really thinking inside the Democratic box anymore. And he's more concerned, which he has been since 2015, he's just hugely accelerating it now, with re-educating Americans to want violence, to be okay with violence.
I'm sorry,
and
the Summer of Love riots was promoted by the Democrats, not Trump.
So the Republican candidates faced off in Alabama last night for a debate that aired on News Nation, which was full of mudslinging.
I thought the booing has gotten a little better, and they booed Vivek Ramaswamy much more, and they needed to. He was awful.
Sarah,
but
getting booed by Nikki Haley's establishment billionaire donors is actually a good thing, so I'm not sure what your point is.
We cannot. I want to say one thing because we had to play Vivek Ramaswamy. This man is contemptible and he is a fraud, but he's also dangerous. Those are his good points. He went on television last night and started espousing the racist, bigoted Great Replacement theory.
Alicia, here's the reality about the Great Replacement. It's not white people migrating to non-white countries. It's vice versa. I mean, now, in 2021, in a request from the racial justice left, Van Jones from CNN said, "We want the white majority to go from being a majority to being a minority." 10 years ago, Joe Biden talked about the non-white population exceeding white population as being a good thing. So when a person on the right says it, y'all call it a conspiracy theory. But when a person on the left says it, it's a brave migration policy. How does that work? And you're not even self-aware enough to see how much of hypocrites you are.
Why is there this big drop from the 87% of black vote that the president got in 2020 to seeing 62% in that Morning Consult Bloomberg poll? Is it a real thing that the president's hold on black voters is slipping?
Look, I'm not black, so I'm not sure why I am on this panel, but I can tell you this. The Democrats don't care about people of color in general. They only care about their votes. And Joe Biden made that clear when he said, if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. And those people are waking up to the fact that they are being used by the Democrats, and their message is clear. Fuck the Democrats.
The only thing that we need is sufficient political will, but as many have pointed out, political will is itself a renewable resource, and these young people around the world are helping the world to renew it.
I'm sorry, but gluing yourself to the roads while the climate gods fly their private jets above you is not considered helping. And let me just get this off my chest. Al Gore rhymes with climate whore.
As somebody who's been involved in a number of campaigns in the past, if you pledge that you're going to spend $10 million, spend a little bit over $2 million, and then pull all your ad spend down, and then say the reason is why is because you found a new way to do things, and everybody who buys TV ads is an idiot, do you feel like he's found a new way to do things, or he doesn't have any money?
Well, obviously, as you go forward, you'll figure out what works and what doesn't. Additionally, Vivek's message is reaching out to hundreds of millions of people thanks to platforms like X. And television is dying anyway, which is why low-rated fake news networks like yours are only suitable for display on airport televisions.
The other non-positive here, Donald Trump. I mean, this just shows how ridiculous our politics has gotten. It's all for him about enriching himself and about staying out of jail.
Trump lost money after leaving office, while Hussein Obama got richer after leaving office. And by the way, the $400,000 annual presidential salary, yeah, Trump donated his, while Obama kept his. So Who the fuck do you think you're fooling here?
This was an attack not only on the Capitol and the government officials, the former vice president, members of Congress, but an attack on the rule of law. And the weight of evidence that I reviewed indicated that it was, in fact, an insurrection. And Mr. Trump engaged in that insurrection under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment.
Wait, did you just say your decision was based on the evidence that you reviewed? You're not a judge. You're not even a lawyer. You cited YouTube videos and news headlines as your evidence. That's not even good enough for a school project. I don't understand.
If you will, walk us through what we're hearing this hour.
Good afternoon. So what we do know is that Zelensky is expected to meet President Biden in the White House, seeking increased attention and more taxpayer money, since Israel is now sucking all the attention and taxpayers' money. We also expect him to wear an army green t-shirt to further persuade the American people into giving him more of their taxpayer money, even though he could stop the war today if he wanted, but it looks like he doesn't because he enjoys fucking the taxpayers.
When he announced his candidacy and went down that tacky gold escalator, he started talking about Mexicans as rapists. I was surprised that he got away with that.
7 years have passed since the Mexican rapist hoax, and you should be ashamed of yourself for still misinforming your audience. I gotta pull up the receipt. The actual quote from Trump. They're not sending their best. They are sending people that have lots of problems. They are bringing drugs and crime. They are rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. The actual quote. So it's pretty clear that he's talking about criminals, drug dealers, and gang members. And there's been tons of instances with illegal immigrants raping and killing people. That's a fact. So now the important question is, if Trump truly hates Mexicans, why rely on an out of context fake quote as your only evidence?
We have a lot to be thankful for. Donald Trump is not in office right now. And so, you know, for me, I'm thankful for the fact that we have a president and we live in a country where costs are coming down, jobs are coming back, and manufacturing is booming.
I'm sorry, but egg prices are down 22% after tripling in price since Joe Biden took office. 90% of all new jobs under Joe Biden were jobs recovered from the pandemic and not new job creations. In other words, you people are a bunch of frauds.
Nobody was in charge. And that's a really distressing thing to think about. At a television network, you want to have stars on screen, you want to have people behind the scenes producing, and executives who are holding everybody responsible. But that just isn't how it works at Fox. I know at CNN, if I went on the air and I started lying about something, I'd be held accountable.
Brian, at CNN, you lied about many things, and I'm amazed that you can sit here with a straight face and say what you just said. I mean, on your failure of a show you called reliable sources. You constantly called Trump supporters the cult of Trump. You spread the Russia hoax for years. You called the Hunter Biden story and manufactured the story. Basically, you called every story that you didn't like right-wing disinformation. And I can go on and on. So have some self-respect in front of these people. Realize why your ratings went down the toilet. And I'm not going to call you Mr. Potato Head because that's a cheap shot.
But there's actually something more fundamental here. Where does that fit in to Elon Musk's hate, racism, and anti-Semitism?
Ari, you just said Elon Musk's hate, racism, and anti-Semitism, but you didn't provide any example to those.
That is true.
Yeah. So give me some specific exampents.
We've seen surging hate speech. They have their own business problems. He blatantly and repeatedly attacks free speech because Musk has proven to be an opponent of free speech and First Amendment principles.
Again, you just added a bunch of new nonsense to what you already said. Give me some specific examples.
Our next guest, Nadia Tolokonnikova, a founding member of the Russian protest art collective Pussy Riot. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Tell us about your trip to Indiana. Why Indiana?
I'm sorry, Lawrence. I'm going to let your guest talk. But first, let me tell you why lots of people think mainstream media like MSNBC are evil. Now, your red flag guest here practices witchcraft in her so-called art and is a good friend with Mariana Abramovich, who's also well known for practicing witchcraft and spirit cooking. I mean, she's on record saying that she wants to become a witch just like Mariana. So maybe ask her why breast milk, semen, and blood are used for spirit cooking before asking her why it's women's rights to kill babies in the womb.
If I happen to be president and I see somebody who's doing well and beating me very badly, I say, go down and indict them.
I don't know, but if he's weaponizing government against his opponents, boy, are we in trouble.
Well, it's like Nixon's enemies list,
Joy,
you know.
he's literally making the point that what the Biden's Department of Justice is doing to him could open up the way for future presidents to indict their opponents. And you already knew that, but you selectively edited the clip to leave out the context, which shows how dishonest and disgusting you are.
What on earth could be the possible use of angering a judge by attacking their staff? What is the purpose of Trump's team attacking his clerks?
When you're dealing with a corrupt judge and prosecutors, who are Democrat activists, by the way, you may choose to push back against them. That's what people do when they face unjust prosecution. And I understand if your never Trumper brain can't process that.
I would love to see an assault weapons ban. That's my
But
take.
also, if you shoot with an AR-15, let's say you shoot a
the speed
deer,
at
you
which you
can't
can-
eat it. Because you basically
In
demolish the
addition to
animal.
that,
Joy,
but the hunt is
not
about...
only is what you said untrue, but it's also the most stupid thing I've ever heard you say. And I've heard you say a lot of stupid things.
And today, the big fraud lost any ability to control his impulses. I have Vizslas, and so all of the training of that breed is about impulse control, teaching them not to run after the squirrel and not to roll in horse poop. Trump has less impulse control than a hunting dog, but the story has to be so familiar to you.
Well, Nicole, I just wasted 2 minutes listening to you go on an unhinged emotional rant about Trump. Your words and body language made it pretty clear that you are the one without impulse control. So maybe work on that, then we can talk about Trump.
Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin have set the stage for what we're living through now, which is no fidelity to the Constitution, no commitment to democracy.
Jamie, but the people of this country elected Trump to office. Yet Democrats like yourself constantly claim that he was an illegitimate president throughout his entire term. So don't talk to me about the Constitution and democracy. And Joy, you colored your hair blonde. That's stealing white people's culture.
This is a guy who is mimicking Vladimir Putin, just saying the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, it's really scary. His plans for a second term are autocracy at best. I mean, he is really, really scary at this point.
Molly, no. In nature, your hair color is called aposematism, which is how animals let other animals know how dangerous and toxic they are. So you are the scary one, and you are in no position to call anyone scary. So please stop with the BS.
I'm sorry.
I'm curious if there was a disconnect between perhaps the brand of the Democratic Party and President Biden. And I think one thing you and I agree on is Donald Trump is an existential threat to this country.
Alicia, you're using the word existential threat in front of Hillary Clinton, who literally made up a fake dossier to remove a sitting president from office. And I also find it interesting that, I'm not suicidal by the way, but I also find it interesting that the Clintons' good friend, Jeffrey Epstein, and his clients who ran an underage sex trafficking ring were never called an existential threat. I wonder if that's because Bill Clinton took 26 trips on Epstein's private jet and visited his underage sex island. So let's talk about that, then we can maybe talk about why the client list was never made public.
Hey, Isaiah.